Okay, so navigating the world of online services,
Hmm.
especially the ones promising social media growth, it can feel like walking through a maze,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. How do you know who's actually legit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into one called Rehype.me. They claim to offer, the usual tools boosting followers, views, engagement.
The whole package.
Right. And our mission here, based only on the source material provided, is to try and figure out if Rehype.me holds up, or if there are, well, serious red flags we need to be aware of.
And jumping right into that source material, the first signal is caution, really. It focuses heavily on their Trustpilot score.
Okay, Trustpilot, where users review businesses.
Precisely. And Rehype.me, they have a score of 3.1 out of 5, which is, okay-ish,
Hard
maybe.
to blame, yeah.
But here's the kicker, highlighted in the source. That score is based on just 13 reviews. 13.
Oh, wow. That's hardly anything.
Exactly. So a mediocre score and a tiny number of reviews. The source calls it a divided picture straight off the bat, puts the whole service in a real gray area.
A gray area, definitely. Because when you dig into those, like, dozen reviews, the source shows this interesting split.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, you do have some positive feedback about, what, 15% are 5-star, 38% are 4-star?
Yeah, that's over half, technically.
Yeah.
And the source mentions specific names. Samuel Cooper liked the efficiency.
Right, and Natalia Lopez and Sophia Miller mentioned educational content being useful, especially for digital entrepreneurs.
And then Lucas Brunn, Pedro Garcia, they gave 5 stars, pointing to value offers, positive experiences overall.
So it suggests that maybe for some people, focusing on certain aspects like the education bit
Yeah.
or maybe catching a specific deal,
Mm-hmm.
it might deliver something.
It does suggest that, yeah, based purely on those positive accounts in the source, it seems it's not like a complete non-starter in every single case.
But and this is a big but based
What?
on the source, nearly half the reviews are negative. Really
Yeah.
negative. 39% are 1-star, another 8% are 2-star.
And it's not just I didn't like it. The types of complaints detailed in the source are serious and seem to pop up repeatedly.
Like what specifically?
Well, the source details reports of purchase views just disappearing. Or worse, users getting flagged on the social media platforms themselves.
Oof. So the platform penalizes you for using the service.
Potentially, yes. Jack Stiles, mentioned in the source, basically said avoid it for this reason. Then there are multiple reports, customer PW, Richie Kahn, about unauthorized charges, hidden fees.
What kind of hidden fees?
Things they didn't agree to, like unwanted subscriptions suddenly appearing or charges for ebooks they never asked for alongside their main purchase.
That sounds really dodgy.
It does. And then you have Nicole Scott and Issa Mansour saying they just flat out paid for services that were never delivered. And getting support, forget it, radio silence.
Wow. Non-delivery, unexpected costs, zero support.
And some users, according to the source, felt so ripped off they actually reported Rehype.me to the authorities.
Okay, that volume and severity of complaints directly from the source's analysis, those are huge red flags.
Massive. And the source points out a couple of other things too, like Rehype.me hasn't even claimed its Trustpilot profile.
Which suggests what? They don't care about feedback.
It could suggest a lack of transparency, yeah, or maybe just not wanting to engage with those negative reviews publicly. Raises questions about accountability, as the source implies. Plus, there's the location issue. The source emphasizes the company seems to be registered in Montenegro.
Montenegro, so not UK or EU based.
Apparently not, based on the source. And for customers in the UK or EU, that offshore registration can make disputing charges or seeking refunds, well, significantly harder if things go wrong.
Right, less consumer protection maybe.
Potentially, yes. And again, all this is based on just 13 reviews total, which makes a definitive call hard, but the pattern in those negative reviews is concerning.
So pulling all these threads from the source together, the few positives versus the many very serious negatives, the hidden costs, the lack of transparency, the location issue. What's the bottom line from the source material?
The source's conclusion is pretty clear. Caution. Extreme caution, actually. It acknowledges, yeah, maybe it seems to function for some people in some cases based on those few good reviews.
Right.
But the weight of the complaints, especially hidden charges, bad communication, non-delivery, leads the source to strongly advise users to proceed with extreme caution.
And based on that analysis, the source actually gives some specific practical advice for you, the listener,
Yeah,
right?
it does. It basically says, look, avoid giving them your main credit card details if you can help it, beyond the specific thing you intend to buy right now.
Okay.
Even better, it suggests maybe using a virtual card or a limited use card number, those temporary numbers some banks offer.
Right, to prevent unexpected future charges.
Exactly. It's about minimizing your risk. The source also suggests, hey, if you need social media help, maybe look at alternatives with much better, more consistent Trustpilot scores. It mentions Upgrow or Social Boost as examples found in the source, noting they have scores over 4.0.
Yeah, this whole deep dive really underscores why being careful with these services is just critical. You're
Yeah.
protecting your digital identity, your finances.
Definitely. The source wraps up by saying it's better safe than sorry. Because while Rehyped.me might work out for a few,
The risks highlighted by nearly half the reviewers seem pretty significant, potentially costly, as the source puts it.
so really the question for you listening is, based on these data points from the source, the conflicting reviews, the documented hidden charges, the support issues, the location, how do you weigh that potential upside against those pretty serious, potentially costly risks? Something to really think about before you click anything.